Lisa, welcome to the podcast. I'm so thrilled to have you with us today. We are going to be diving into so much of the stuff that my listeners love, which is the
Mm.
woo-woo stuff, some of the spiritual things, and how it all ties together on the fertility journey. So, big welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer. Gosh, this is so fun. I'm really happy to be here. You were on my podcast. We're doing a swap. This is so fun. Thanks for
I know,
having
and I
me.
feel like it's one of those things where you're like, how have I not known this person in real life? It's sort of, yeah,
Oh,
always makes me wonder.
oh.
I would love to start by learning just a little bit about you. Would you mind sharing your fertility journey and the way you came to do this work?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I always say I never expected to step into this path helping others on their fertility journeys, but often the pain and the struggles that we go through become such a part of our story and a new calling, really an unexpected calling that has led to so many beautiful things. And but taking me myself back as I reflect on where we started, my husband and I, we got married later in life, and around what 37ish, 37, 38, we were struggling to get pregnant and only about a year married at this point. But we did some early testing, and thankfully a friend who's an OBGYN was like, I think go to a fertility specialist, which thankfully, just getting some good guidance right off the bat. They identified that we had male factor challenges, and I also had some uterine polyps. So off we went, right? Like down the path. And I went through my first egg retrieval and got four embryos. We tested them genetically, and sadly, none of them came back genetically healthy.
Mm.
Crushing news right before Christmas and New Year's at that time, and this was in 2015. Um, went through another egg retrieval, had three embryos, and we're crossing our fingers like one healthy embryo come back, and one did. We got one healthy embryo. So we froze that embryo and kind of naively did not go forward with any more egg retrievals. We were just like, we're moving forward. Like this is a whole world that I did not know anything about. Like many do, we kind of go into this pretty blindly. And at that point, gosh, so we froze our embryo. I had a polyp surgery, waited 3 months, found out I had scar tissue that formed in my uterus. So they needed to do surgery to remove the scar tissue. Um, I was getting ready for an embryo transfer. They found some blood in my uterus. That transfer was canceled, and my doctor left the practice. Setback after setback. Got a new doctor, and he did some testing and found that I had fibroids that formed. So
Oh,
then fibroid surgery, and this is all of 2016. I just remember that as the year of surgeries. And many can relate, I'm sure, to who are on a fertility path is like, oh yeah, that was the year this happened and all the things. So uh, had fibroid surgery and crossing our fingers that I was ready to go for our one transfer. And in January of 2017, we did have our one transfer, and it took. And that's our
mm.
beautiful daughter now, who's 8 years old.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a journey.
It was a journey. And how
Relative,
old?
like, yeah, I mean, it's just like short but long, it's all relative. So,
It is,
yeah.
it doesn't feel short at the time, does it? If every
No,
moment that you are
no.
waiting and there's this surgery and another diagnosis and another surgery, and it is
Yeah.
certainly
Yeah.
not an easy place to be at the time. And how old were you by the
Hmm.
time that you had your daughter?
Yeah. 40. I had
Oh,
her at
wow.
40.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And
Hmm.
so then what is the work that you do now and how did that lead into it?
Yeah. The work I do now really is supporting individuals who are going through fertility challenges and specifically IVF. Since I've lived this path, I know it well. And bringing a lens of occupational therapy, which I've been an OT for now 25 years, but that supported me immensely. And I went about our fertility path really differently with a holistic approach, a unique lens that I chose to use to go through this. And, I was very intentional and conscious about wanting to go about it in a different way and not getting kind of pulled in by the struggle and the pain. And I'm grateful for the background I had because I knew I had to be an active participant. And so all of this experience and how I went about it, I just felt in my heart like I want to support other women who are going through this, show them a new way, show them an approach that maybe opens them up to more possibility and just
Mm.
more joy and more of the magic that I really believe is possible on this path, and pulling in a holistic approach and, the like work you do, all of the things that we're not always exposed to unless we meet certain individuals or just have the opportunity to learn like new ways to go about this path. So I respect the doctors immensely, and we need the doctors to focus on that medical side. But what I bring is really helping individuals with mindset, with energetic alignment, really, nervous system work, all of these kind of strategies to help us navigate this path with more ease from a more grounded place and optimizing. Hopefully, this all
Mm.
working out for us.
That's it. And it's sort of
Yeah,
this idea when you go into IVF, it's like you don't know what you don't know. So all these things keep coming up like I
exactly.
never knew this was going to be a problem and how is this
Mhm.
now an issue? I had no concept that that would ever be coming up. It really throws
Mhm.
you, doesn't it? It's like every
Yeah.
step of the journey there is just something else that is slapping you in the face that you have to deal with. I just found that so incredibly overwhelming. And I couldn't get my head around the fact that, you would have it didn't seem to be an exact science, the IVF process. It just sort
Mhm.
of how can we not know why these things don't
Mhm.
work? And I
Yeah.
just found that so incredibly frustrating. So when you are working with someone, when someone comes to you and they say, look, I'm really struggling, it's just taking over my whole life, I can't think about anything else, where do you even start?
Mm. Yeah. I mean, gosh, when I'm encountered by a client who comes to me, they're just so overwhelmed. We're a listening ear, right? We're a spot where we can be a sounding board for people sometimes just sharing their story for the first time, just being able to articulate the pains and the struggles. And I listen openly and pulling out things that I hear. I ask questions. I really dive into exploring more about their life because we know fertility challenges impact our whole life. They really do. They impact relationships, they impact our work, friendships, social life, spirituality, financials, self care, everyday routines. So these are things that I'm looking at, how a typical day, what that's looking like, what, I want to hear from them, like the hardest parts of this path and also what they want, right? Getting clear on what they would like. So again, it's a lot of kind of questioning in the beginning and intake form, and understanding more of who you are as an individual. Each path is so unique. I don't have like this customized like XYZ, this. Like everyone's at different parts of the journey when they enter this path. So it's really taking a customized approach to understanding, okay, where are you now? Where do you want to go? And doing a deep dive into that. Those are clients I work with one on one. I've led group programs. And so those are opportunities to really also share in a group setting. And then everyone can like feed off each other and like, oh, wow, I'm going through that too. That's helping you. Oh, maybe this might help me. But, being careful too about, I think, surrounding yourself in some of the groups. I know you're probably familiar with some of those big like Facebook groups, right? Where everyone's sharing what they're doing. And then it's like you can get into that comparison mode of like, well, I'm not doing that. Well, I got to do that. So there's a fine line of, you know, staying in your own journey. This is your own personal path, honoring where you're at, trying to put the blinders on as much as possible, like not getting so distracted of like, well, everyone's doing this and right. Like we've seen this before, and it's helping individuals really stay like connected with themselves and their why, their intention, and it's an exploration together. We walk it together. So yeah, that's a little bit of my process.
Mm. I think just what you said there about actually listening to someone, being heard. I had a new student this
Mm-hmm.
week who, we were just chatting about what she'd been going through, and I shared a little bit about my story, and she said to me, when you shared what you'd been through and it was similar to me, I felt really supported. Like, is that normal? And I said,
Mm-hmm.
of course, of course. It's so incredibly validating, isn't it? Just to be able to share
Yeah.
experience and have someone else go, I've been through that too, and it was really hard. And how sad that we're not getting that in any of the places we traditionally go and look. Like when you go to your
Hmm.
doctor and, no IVF doctor is saying, what are your stress levels like? How are you coping
Yeah,
at work? How's your relationship going? I
exactly.
don't think these are the questions that are being asked. So when someone comes into a space like this and they just get to feel heard, really emotionally
Hmm.
supported and heard. That is, I think, a huge, huge part of the healing process. So thank you
Hmm.
for sharing that as well.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to dive more into manifestation because that is what so many of my listeners just
Hmm.
love to kind of get their heads around and jump into. But it feels
Yeah.
like the manifestation world just kind of feels very intangible sometimes. It's like, sure, I do the vision board? Am I doing my affirmations? Am I doing it
Hmm.
wrong? Do I do it for 5 minutes a day? How does this process actually work? So,
Hmm.
so many questions here. Let's start with, what does manifestation mean for you?
Well, even just the word doing, I want to just
Yeah.
touch upon that because hearing you say that, it makes me tighten a little bit. And that
Mm.
is often the vibe when we're going through our fertility path. It's the doing the shots and doing the appointments and doing the ultrasounds and all the things of the doing. And so if we feel like we're doing it wrong, like we are manifesting all the time. Manifesting is like to make real, right? To bring something into reality, to we're manifesting all of the time. And so, this idea of manifestation in IVF, it's not like thinking my way to a baby, right? But it's like feeling safe enough to receive one.
Mm.
So, it's who we are becoming in the process of this. Who do we want? We do want to manifest a baby, but like it is this energetic, we want to become this space to hold, expand our capacity enough to receive. So, and when I say manifest a baby, like there's so many things to manifest through this path. And when I say manifesting a miracle, don't we want to manifest more peace, more ease, more joy, right? More connection. So, this idea that no one else has control over our thoughts, our energy, our actions, right? Like we are in control of that. So it's choosing, how do we want to approach our path to motherhood, being in alignment with ourselves and becoming in alignment with that desire that we hold. And so it's not about the trying energy, it's really more about this way of being. And I like to call my fertility sisters manifesting mamas. Like we are holding the frequency of a manifesting mama, right? We are calling in these souls and we are still living our life. I always say if we want to be calling in life, it requires us to be living life.
Mm. That is
And
beautiful.
thank you. It's just feeling the safety in our body, trusting in the unknown, right? Releasing the control and stepping into this energetic alignment. Like these are key parts of what I help individuals navigate through. And it gets to be a really fun process. It's not something, I don't want this to be stressful, hard. It's a way of being, it's a way of choosing how to go about this to shift the experience of IVF because it is so medical, right?
Mm.
The process of IVF is so medical and our experience doesn't have to be.
Mm.
So that's where like people like you and I step in, right? To introduce these new approaches and you know, to shift into a new way of being, our identity, right? We get to up level into this new way of going about it. So I hope I answered your question. It's challenging to kind of just simplify it, but it can be really simple because it's just like it's who we're becoming through this process,
I
right?
agree. And I always say to my students, like, you don't want the positive pregnancy test. You don't even just want like the baby. I mean, what are you going to do? Have a baby and like
Mm-hmm.
put it in the cupboard? Like that, you don't want the baby. You want the
The
life.
feeling,
That's
the
it.
feeling.
That comes
Yeah.
with that baby and
Yeah.
everything that you're going to build together. That is what you are working towards.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we lose sight of that. We think, oh, okay, once I get the positive pregnancy test or once I have the baby, like everything will be fine. And speaking from
Mm-hmm.
experience, that isn't quite the way it works when you
Yeah.
don't do the work to heal yourself and to figure out what it is
Yeah.
that you really want for your life, when that isn't the focus anymore, having the baby
Hmm.
doesn't really fix how you were feeling about your whole journey. And I think that there's just got to be a nicer way for us to go through this, an easier
Yeah.
way that feels more supportive, more grounded. And I hate that this journey is just so hard and so overwhelming for so many of us. And I
Hmm.
just want everyone to know that yes, it is not an easy place to be. This is not an easy journey to walk down, but there are so
Yeah.
many ways that we can make our lives feel a little bit lighter in the process. So I think that is so, so
Yeah.
important. I I love this idea of, you've spoken about this a lot, where you don't want to postpone joy. As you were saying, you need to
Hmm.
live your life now in order to call
Hmm.
in your baby. And I think that's
Hmm.
part of the process of manifesting. Is that right? Can you talk a bit more about that?
Yeah. Well, the energy of joy, right? That's the kind of space we want to be in when we're trying to create life. Thinking of a baby and what kind of space they would want to enter into. I
Mhm.
mean, think of a warm, welcoming, joyful, happy place, right? I always believe there's this connection that we can have with our embryos. And I was writing letters to our little one before we didn't know boy, girl at the time that, what they were going to be. And there are so many ways energetically and like being in that joyful place of calling them forward to us. So, joy, I believe it's essential to keep while we're calling in life. And
Mm,
unfortunately, the path of IVF is often one of a lot of pain and heartbreak. And it's important to honor that. I too also experienced, as I shared in my story, a bit of the struggles we had, yet I still kept this element of, I'm going to keep living my life. I'm going to focus on what good things I have to be grateful for, what what shifts can I make in a positive direction. And when we need to have the pity party, we allow that. And that also makes more space for joy to enter. Because if we're holding so much of this pain and hurt and it's there, like we know it's there, it's important to release that.
mm,
So, in order to bring more of the joy, whatever you need to do, to punch, to kick, to hit, to all the things, to release physically, to cry, to write. I was writing and journaling a lot through this. So, all of these practices are ways to clear what's heavy and to make space for more of the joy and the creativity. So, creativity is another thing kind of in alignment with joy that I believe we get to use to our advantage on this path, right? Creating with our
mm,
hands, creating, doing a hobby that we love to do. And that's with the occupational therapy hat that I wear. And, it's all about using activity in a purposeful way that we get lost in the flow of things, right? Some of my clients have started like knitting. They did paint by numbers, getting back into cooking, all of these things where we're actually using our hands in a creative way, taking a class, doing something like that, right? Pottery class. And I was doing it too, actually, on my fertility path. I was in a beta art program and doing painting. And so that was joyful for me to be in a space where I could let myself just be free. There's like a sense of
mm,
freedom when you can get lost in that flow and allow yourself to be present. And I wasn't thinking about fertility struggles a lot at that time. It would just kind of go away. So if you're in it right now, if you're in the thick of it, I encourage anyone listening to really like do something out of the box, take a class, listen to what hobbies pay attention to that inner voice. What did I used to do when I was a kid? What did I love to? I know you
mm.
talk about this too in your podcast. So it's so important to keep those simple joys alive, and it will really help you as you're calling in a little one.
We talk about this a lot in yoga, this idea of creativity being very much aligned with the sacral chakra, which is the
Mm-hmm.
area of creation within your body.
Yes.
And we find that often if that area is very closed or very blocked, it is
Mm-hmm.
a wonderful way to start releasing some energy through that area by doing something creative within your life. And it's sort of just a wonderful connection between the two. And I always say to people, yes, I'm a yoga and a meditation teacher, and I think these practices are so beneficial for so many reasons. And like you said, that idea of flow where your mind just gets to switch off
Yeah.
from your fertility
Yeah.
struggles. But I mean, you don't have to do yoga, you
Yeah.
find what works for you. But I feel like on this journey, you have to do something. You've got to find something that
Mm.
takes you away
Yeah.
from every moment of every day. I am just in this space of despair and worry and anxiety and fear. And it's
Yeah.
such an awful place to spend every moment of every day, isn't it? You were just in survival mode 24/7.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
finding these little ways to get out of that, even if it is for 5 minutes, maybe an hour, if that's possible, and just do it as
Hmm.
much as you can. I feel like my whole world opened up when I found things like that.
Yeah. That's the key.
Thank you so, so much for sharing. You
Yeah.
spoke a little bit about this idea of creating space, and this is
Hmm.
something that I love to talk about a lot with my
Mm.
students as well. And there's so many ways we can do that. But can you
Yeah.
explain how making space, either, emotionally or physically within your
Hmm.
life or your surroundings, really then opens up space for your baby as well?
Yeah. I love this question. I believe we can tune internally and externally to our space. So I'll start with, I'll start with externally. So looking at our physical environment, right? Where are we taking our shots? What kind of space are we? Mm, how do I want to say this? Is it a space that is nurturing us? Is it cluttered? Is it messy? Is it disorganized? How is that supporting us as we're doing these shots? And I see now, like back when I was doing this, there were no like organizational kits, at least that I'm aware of like how to organize all your meds, right? I had like a table full of all these meds and things in the fridge, and now there's all these cubbies and different things. But that's just one simple example of like your external space. How can you create like a sacred ritual around this? Right, making it really intentional. So our space for doing our taking our shots, um, that's one. Our space just in our everyday living environment, right? Is it cluttered? Is it clean? Is it organized? There are simple ways. Do you have a clean car? Like, how do you feel about going about your day, right? So all these ways that we are navigating through our life, going to work, and we have like maybe a plant in front of us that brings us some life and reminds us of our intention, right? Crystals, and I'm on into all of that stuff. So it's like if you have a symbol to help ground you in your physical space, all of these things can really shift the energy, the frequency. So those are some external things just around you, paying attention to your environment. Do you live in a high rise that's noisy, and can you be outside in some open space to do some grounding, right? So these are all ways that we can be more mindful of making space for ourselves. And then internally, I mean, you touched upon it. Like, there's so much. There's the mental, the emotional, physical. So we can be physically like releasing, going to the gym, working out, lifting weights, doing yoga, all of these things to give our body a physical boost, which also helps us stay grounded and kind of more centered in our body. Um, Emotionally, I feel like I cried. I mean, don't hold it in. Let yourself cry. And using our voice. I mean, that's something that's not talked about a lot too with the throat chakra, because I do chakra readings with clients. And so finding out where there could be some misalignment. And if we're feeling like this, if we notice this closure in our throat, if I pick up on that energy, maybe there are some things that need to be spoken that we're hiding within, that we're holding back. And it could be advocating to a family member, it could be advocating to a friend, to your doctor. So things that need to be spoken, to release and make space. Um, Writing was a way that I released a lot. I mean, so making space and getting it out of your head and onto paper. I've been journaling my whole life since I was 10 years old. So it was natural for me to just journal through IVF because that's been what I know. And it's cool. Like not everyone likes journaling, and that's okay. But for me it became really therapeutic, and I found it a really healing way to make more space. Um, yeah, so those are a few ways, internal and external, clearing of the space. That's actually one of the modules in my program, in my course. So there's so much that we can do to optimize this, to make space, because no one else can do that for us. That is within our control. And I'm really in the belief that there's so much that we can do,
I
not giving
love
all of
all
our
of that.
power away to the medical team. And they have their role, and we can, again, do so much to support ourselves.
I love all of that so much. And it just
Mm,
feels, even just listening to you say that, it just feels so freeing, doesn't it?
yeah.
And I'm sort of glancing around the room here and I'm like, oh God, I could do with that needs to go away. Just having that clutter away, it just
Yeah.
feels like spacious, doesn't it? It just feels energetically
Mhm.
better. I would love to ask you a bit more about this idea of mindset and positivity. And I think a lot
Mm,
of people get stuck in this idea that they have to be positive all the time.
mm,
And, if you're having a really bad day and if you just can't get out of bed and you just need to cry, everything is terrible. I feel like people get into that space and think, well, I've ruined my chances this month. And it doesn't work that way. I think you touched on it a little bit about how we need to honor all of the emotions. Nothing is good nor bad. It's just, it is what it is.
mhm.
So I would love for you to speak a little bit more about how we shouldn't get hard on ourselves when we are having those more negative moments and why that isn't necessarily going to change the outcome.
Mm. Yeah, I think the hard it's a part of life, right? We can't do without the hard, and we can't be happy just go lucky every single day. Like that's not healthy. So it like touching upon that honoring of it all, allowing all of the emotions of life, the richness of life. I mean, I think I'm thinking about as I was going through my fertility path. My mom was also she was getting sicker and sicker, and so I could have really easily gone down a hole of despair and hopelessness. And here I'm trying to call in life, and my own mom is sadly kind of fading away. And I think holding on to that intention of our desire, allowing all of the hard emotions to surface, to welcome space, talking about space, welcoming space for them. And neither, like you said, is good or bad. So I feel just that you don't want to have this element of forcing. I have to be hopeful. I have to be in this space of um, everything's going to work out. Everything sometimes doesn't work out. I've had clients where, their last embryo did not take. And each person's path is so individual and so unique. It's getting to a place of peace. I think a feeling of peace where we give it our all. We don't have control of certain things. We don't have control of the outcome, but we can control how we experience it, how we react to certain things. That was something my mom taught me, no matter what happens in life, we don't have control of what happens. We can control how we react to it. And so hmm, it's not easy. Um, when you want something as badly as a child and you want to be a mom more than anything. And if you need to separate yourself and be kind of like in your cocoon for a bit, I say honor that. And knowing when things are a full yes and a full no, what you want to attend or go to, like letting go of any guilt of like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. No, like finding support, from someone to talk to, or, trusted friends that really just are there to listen and make space. I think there's space for all of it. I always say it's like we're holding on and we're letting go, right? And that's a continual in day to day as we're calling in a child through IVF and as we're navigating other challenges in life. Like those don't go away.
Mm.
So holding on and letting go, we can't have the joy without the pain almost. It's like life can't be rosy all the time. What would that life kind of be like, right? Are we really growing? Are we really thriving, evolving? If everything is just work, I mean, I would love everything to be working out for us, right? But yet, when we really grow, it's in those hard times where we shift and we evolve and we deepen in understanding more about ourselves. So sorry, this is a long-winded answer, but
Mm.
I just, I could talk about this for a while because
No,
this is
I love
life.
that
This is
answer.
what life's about.
One of my students put a post in our members group recently, and she said, she's in a place where she's really struggling at the moment. And I had done a podcast episode on what I got from the hard times of this journey.
Mm,
And not just the babies, but what did I get from my journey? What was the
mm,
what meaning did I find in it? And she found that really triggering. And it is very, of course, very easy for, people like you and I to be like, oh, well, I went through this and it gave me that. But
mm,
I got so much before I got the family. And she
mm,
then asked, all of my other students who are still struggling on their own journey, what have you gotten from this journey that's been a really positive change in your life? Even though you don't have the family yet. And I thought that was such an incredible thing to ask people. And the
mm,
responses that came back were amazing. Things like I have the most incredible relationship now with my husband or my partner, and I didn't have that before. And things like
mm,
I am now able to understand my body in a way that I never knew was possible. As teenagers, we're put on the pill and told our periods are insignificant and take some painkillers, and no one ever teaches us to honor our bodies. But I think the fertility journey really, really does. And it was so beautiful to see all of these women who don't yet have their baby, they're able to find ways in which this journey has given them something else amazing in this life. Because as you said, we don't get to feel the incredible highs that we do in this life
mm,
without going through some of the hard things as well. Because I know people who didn't struggle to have their children. Most of the people I know,
mm,
of course, we're the
mm,
unlucky ones. And I think this is I don't know if this is an observation that everyone else noticed, but I feel like things annoy them about their children that wouldn't even occur to me to be annoyed about. I just think that I have
mm.
this
Yeah.
every single day gratitude for my
Yeah.
children that I don't think everyone does when they don't have to go through that struggle.
Yeah.
You see these memes about how the best part of people's day is when they drop their kids at school and they finally, get rid of them for the day. And I'm like, I just do not relate to that. I don't relate to this idea of dreading the school holidays. I don't
I'm
dread
so with you. I'm
bedtime.
so
Do you know
with
what
you.
I mean? And
Yes, it shifts your perspective when you've gone
that
through a
is it.
journey like this. It
That
shifts
is
your
it.
perspective. Like everything has becomes more meaningful. We have a deeper appreciation for the journey it took to get here. So those
Mm.
little things don't bug me. I'm a way more empathetic, compassionate parent than I mean, if I was getting frustrated at every little thing, I have my frustrations, but it's like I just approach it with a different lens. Like
Mm.
one of more like so much love. Like our one
Oh.
embryo, she is a walking miracle. And I'm just like every day I'm in awe of the journey. I have her embryo picture and I see it every day, this little spark of light that we experienced on a transfer day. And I'm like, I look at her and I say, I just so much wonder and gratitude and appreciation because it could have gone another way, you know,
Mm.
really could have.
That's
But you're
so
talking about
true.
like so many of the gifts, like staying whole, right? Like with manifestation, I think it's so much about like becoming the version of you who can hold the outcome while still being whole without it.
Oh my
Can you
goodness.
can you
Yes,
can you still be whole without this happening yet? And so that's what I'm the big things I'm about is holding on to you first. It starts with us on this path.
it sure does. The last thing I wanted to ask you about was mindset. I think this kind of flows on from
Mm-hmm.
this thing of being having to be positive all the time, which we know is impossible. But what is mindset,
Mm-hmm.
do you think, when it comes to struggling with fertility? And how can we help ourselves sort of get into that mindset of manifesting what
Mm,
we really want?
mm. Yeah, I love all these questions. I have coined a term miracle mindset. And I used a miracle mindset as I was going through my path.
I
And
love
it's
it.
approaching each day with with an openness of well, like my mantra that's on the wall. Always expect something wonderful to happen.
Mm.
So that is how I approach my fertility path. That's how I approach life. When I go to concerts, or I'm getting parking spots, or who I'm going to meet, whatever event or experience. And I've manifested some pretty cool things in my life. So, it's this attitude of a mind. So, mindset, I think it's one of the missing links through this path. And when you see your doctor, oftentimes they're not really focused on mindset. So, that is the part where I feel like I like to be the bridge to individuals, to helping you navigate this path with a different lens. What kind of glasses are we going to put on as we approach this? And we have a
Mm.
choice of what we want to put on. Um, it's literally like taking a pair of glasses and like every day, how do we want to approach going to our appointments? And that's something I did. I was open. I was not forcing anything or expecting a certain number, right? With like follicle numbers or measurements. And it's like detaching, letting go of a lot of that. So mindset becomes a way of living and a way of being and a choosing. How do we want to go about our day? And who do we want to surround ourselves by? Because that all contributes to our mindset. Are we surrounding ourselves with the energy vampires who are just sucking the life out of us? We all know those people that were like, no, I do not want to open my whole fertility journey up to you because you're just going to suck it out, right? Like
That's
we
it.
want to surround ourselves with positive, uplifting people. So that's why, again, environment is so key in space. Um, but mindset gets to be what we choose, what we make it. So let's
Mm.
choose one of more of the fun and more of the ease. Again, not in a toxic way at all, but I'm all about that is something that we do have within our control to bring about a more positive experience through this that's often very challenging. So, yeah, learning how to, I say, ride the wave, because it is a wave of highs and lows. And we don't want to be staying like up here all the time because we know there's the lows, but it's the in between. How do we expand our capacity to handle when the lows get so hard, right? And to ride with the wave and to navigate all of it, because there's going to be, I mean, in one day you can get like the best news and then like drop to your knees kind of news, right? We hear all about it. I experienced it too. Getting that call that our first four embryos were not healthy genetically. I was like absolutely devastated. And I had the mindset, like, again, I allowed myself to be in the sad space, to cry, to weep, to be held, to still hold the vision that I had for my life, that I was going to be a mom no matter what. So, holding that vision, detaching from the outcome, that's a big part of the mindset that I help my clients get to.
Ah, I love hearing you speak about all of these things.
Thank
Lisa, you wrote
you.
a book. Can you tell us about your
I
book
did.
and what
Oh,
can people expect to learn from reading your book?
oh, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, I wrote this book in 2019. It's called Hold On Baby. It's a soulful guide to riding the ups and downs of infertility and IVF. It's really based on personal experience. Also a practical guide. So I wrote this not knowing that we were going to be in a pandemic the next year. So Hold On Baby, the title
The
really had a
timing.
different kind of meaning for me, right? Where it applied to many different challenges in life, but it's really for the woman going through IVF and navigating fertility challenges, wanting to become a mom. And my goal with it is to help you stay in that empowered place, to realize there's so much you can do to create a more positive experience for yourself, to optimize this path working out for you. I share all the things that we're talking about, truly, like mindset and not postponing your joy, not putting your life on hold, going into the nervous system, how important that is, regulating yourself, finding ways to release, make space, and finding your sisterhood, community, tribe, and also spirituality, really like tapping into, being a co creator on this path. So I'm so grateful. I mean, gosh, it's turning 6 years old actually this month on Mother's Day. So I'm just really grateful. It's a book that is truly from my heart. I share journal excerpts, and um, I'm really grateful to have it out in the world, and just the messages that I get from people around the world really touch me. So yeah,
Mm.
it's on Amazon, and anybody who would like one, signed or something, reach out to me, because I love connecting with people. And thank you for asking about my book.
Of course. No, it's an incredibly beautiful book. How can
Thank
people learn
you.
more about you, Lisa, or connect with you if they would love to get in touch?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn, IVF Manifesting a Miracle, Lisa White, and my website, of course, same IVF Manifesting a Miracle. And yeah, I really truly love connecting with people in this space as I know you do. And my podcast is Soulful IVF too. So that's something else that I encourage people to jump on and listen to our conversation.
Amazing.
And gosh, 4 years going with that now too. It's just
Wow.
keeps getting better. How long have you been doing your podcast?
2.5 years
Two and
now.
a half.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's so fun. I absolutely love
Mm,
it. And it's connecting with people like you where we get to
mm,
really make an impact and sharing our stories and knowing all of this has a bigger purpose, you know?
I completely agree. And we will link up all
Hmm.
of the links to those in the show notes as well. So,
Thank you.
Lisa, thank you for being here. You're
My
amazing.
gosh.
I love
Thank
everything
you
about
so
you, your
much.
energy, your approach to this kind of work. And it's been an honor
Oh,
to chat with you today.
thank you so much.